post a video this week about closing out the month of December for everything that's happened here at the cabin. But I realized that there's an important part of my experience here that I've not talked about, and that's Kenai. And I figure I probably should document my time with Kenai and talk a little bit about why Kenai means so much to me, because I've not really explained anything about, Kenai. In my opinion, he's not just, any old dog. He's pretty special. And what brought that to the forefront was what happened with Gunner from An Alaska Homestead. If you're not familiar with their channel, I assume most of you probably already watch them, but if you're not, you should probably pay them a visit. This video is to pay some respects for their loss of their dog who recently passed away. I hope you enjoyed the story. What? I've mentioned previously that I love to camp, and what I may not have expressed, when I say camp, I'm not talking about in a camper or a trailer. I'm talking about Jeep camping and traveling from state to state, moving every single day to a new location. A good number of years ago, I was traveling on a 16-day road trip through the Pacific Northwest. And as I was heading into Glacier National Park, about 20 miles outside of the park, just about as sun was setting, I was on a rural highway. I happened to come across a dog that walked up out of a creek bed, and that dog happened to be Kenai. And there was no way I was going to leave this random dog out in the middle of nowhere. Just realized he had either run away or had been abandoned out where we were. There was nothing around where I found him. Like I said, it was about 20 miles outside of East Glacier on a rural highway, and there was no homes, no businesses, nothing. And he's completely black. So there was no way I was going to just leave him sitting along the side of a road. I opened up my car door and he crawled right in and went right to sleep. He didn't give it a second thought. As soon as his head hit the car seat, he was out cold. I felt so bad for him. But I sat along the side of the highway trying to figure out what to do for probably a good hour. And that was after driving through East Glacier and finding out that there was not a shelter or humane society or anything like that nearby that I could take him and have his rightful owners come and locate him. I looked on Craigslist and any online platforms that I could just to see if someone had reported their dog missing, and there was nothing. And so we just continued on our way, me and this newfound dog that I had no idea what his temperament really was. I knew that he was extremely exhausted. I assumed he had just been eating whatever he could find in the creek bed, because he also was skin and bones. He didn't have any meat on him whatsoever. If you touched him, your hand went right to the bones, to his ribs or his hips. And I knew that he had been in the creek bed for quite some time. He had to have been out there for weeks, because the bottom side of his coat, right, the underside of his belly and his legs had actually been bleached red from the tannins in the river. He also had mange. He was losing the hair around his ears and his eyes. But after not finding an owner, I just continued on our way. And I knew that I would just look online to see if someone had reported a dog missing in or near the area where I originally found him. For the next 2 years, I would randomly look just to see if there was anything, and I didn't find anything. But I couldn't imagine that if he was my dog, that I would ever want to lose him, that I'd ever want to be without him. We eventually made our way through several states and to the coast. And it was while we were at the coast that a woman approached me, and she mentioned, "Oh, what a cute puppy he is." And I kind of looked at her like she had two heads, because I was like, "Puppy? This is no puppy." He had crawled in the back seat, and he basically took up the entire back seat of the car. It was only after she said that I got a good look at him and realized, oh my goodness, she's right. He still had puppy paws. He still had the puppy droopy ears going on, and his teeth were that of about a 9-month-old dog. So he had not fully grown yet, which really should have been my first clue as to how big he was going to get, because he just continued to grow from that point forward. And he was the goofiest little thing. He would trip and fall, but he would totally play it off like, oh, I totally meant to do that. I wasn't falling. Who are you kidding? He just has such character and personality. The trip was quickly coming to a close, and as each day passed, I fell in love with Kenai more and more and more. His personality is just one that really grabs you by the heartstrings. And so we headed home to Colorado, where I had 2 other dogs anxiously waiting for me to come home, not expecting to get a big brother. And I don't think Kenai was expecting to find 2 other dogs there either. And he did not quite know what to expect of them. When our boxer came up to him to sniff him and, figure out what he was all about, he jumped into my arms like a scared little child. He's the biggest goofball, but they all got along great. And unfortunately, the girls, they passed away after a couple of years from old age. It's just sad to lose a pet. It's very sad to lose someone that you have grown to adore and that has provided such companionship and entertainment. It's with that my heart goes out to An Alaskan Homestead, and my heart goes out to anybody who has lost a pet, whether it's your dog or your cat. While we can, give everyone a hug, and maybe not your goldfish, and just cherish the time that you have with them. Life is too short to not spend it happy and with a good pet such as Kenai. Right?